All right, this episode of the Slide In Podcast is brought to you by Hardy and Squala. Thank you to our partners. This is episode 65 of the Slide In Podcast.
We talked a bit about that last week.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about them. Hopefully people enjoy that. I find that stuff interesting.
I do too, on the history of how you get things going.
Yeah, just how we ended up partnering with them and stuff.
But as usual, I talk too much.
Yeah, me too. Braeden Anderson, Kelly Gallup, you guys know that by now. Barton, Garner, Samsonite.
Yeah.
That one stuck. People
Samsonite?
call me that.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
You haven't seen him in YouTube comments. I've got some friends I ski instruct with that just call me Samsonite now. They tell you my brother-in-law photoshopped a photo. I was out golfing with him, my dad, and my brother. And we took a selfie to send to the ladies, and he just put a Samsonite luggage, like a suitcase right over my head. That was nice.
Might have to start this over, because I don't think you said who our sponsors were.
I said Hardy and Squala.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I thought we just kind of ran over them.
Oh, no.
We're going to double plug.
We'll still have our ads in here, but yeah. So the show
We still have the same gear on, so.
Yes, yeah. Kelly's got his Squala shirt on under there. You can't really see it, but he does.
You know the Squala logo?
He wore that too. He truly wore that. I told him, I didn't tell him we were doing any of this. He just wore that.
And the vest.
Yeah, and the vest.
Back there, but it's not hot. It's not cold in here. It's not winter in Montana. I'm watching that shit back east, and they're getting hammered, man. And we've had a consistent 40 to 50 for a month, and it's going to 2 more weeks. The 10-day forecast was like, get to pour the new shop next week.
Nice.
Or no, this week.
What day is that going in?
Wednesday.
Cool.
I think. And it's supposed to be 40 plus degrees.
Perfect.
I don't think I've ever poured a foundation where I wasn't worried about freezing to death.
Wasn't it like -10 when
Yeah.
you did the
That
first
one,
side of
it was
this?
awful. That was awful.
Okay, so wasn't it?
It's great.
So the current north slide, how it is, that was a new pad, right, next to the house when you originally built that?
We poured it.
Yeah, and didn't you guys cover it with tarps, and then a bunch of deer came and bedded down on it because it was...
One looked like it did, but they walked across it everywhere.
Yeah.
Which people do that all the time. Right. They fake it. Mm-hmm. And then Mel went in after I left and put a big heart, nice. M+K. I said, that's beautiful, baby. So we're going to carpet over it. But yeah, it's like, that's funny. Nice.
All right, so last episode was low on questions, so we're going to...
Well, we talked for an hour about our sponsors.
Right.
Which I'm sorry for that, but it's really cool for us.
Yeah,
so.
It's great. And hopefully people... everybody in fly fishing buys gear at some point. So hopefully, if you guys have... How about this? If you have a question about a specific piece of gear from Hardy or Squala, ask us about it. Because we're going to be talking about some of their stuff anyways, and we're pretty well versed on their offerings at this point. So we can answer those technical questions. Waders, we get a lot of questions about that stuff, but feel free to ask, and we might cover some of that on the podcast because I'm a huge gear nerd. I love gear. Always have been, love nerding out about it. So I'm sure some of our listeners are.
I'm not as geary, not as nerdy. There's 2 things I'm nerdy about, and it's staying warm and staying warm. I didn't used to be that way. Guys used to ask me all the time. I tell Johnny, you wait. It was just like that. Guys say, how do you keep your hands warm? You pussy. I'd be freezing, it didn't matter. You just didn't. And now I'm like, oh. I mean,
yeah, I love your video of how to keep your hands warm. Like, keep a towel in your pocket. Don't wear gloves.
I think it's the number 1 video we ever had.
Yeah, it is.
But now I have to have gloves and 2 towels.
Right.
And I almost took the picture. I found my bag of gloves for my gear or my sled. Because when I'm like in the white and wherever if I'm going by myself in particular, and I said I kept 25 pairs, I was wrong. I had 21 left hands, and I had, I think, 7 right hands. And every one of the right hands has a hole through the leather from stripping and cold.
You just strip straight through them.
But you're holding your rod, and the cork is a little insulation, right? Mm-hmm. So your hand that one doesn't get as cold.
Right.
So I had almost what I said on the 20-some on the left hand, but I also had 14 other pairs of gloves and 3 pairs of mittens.
Jeez.
In one bag.
Right.
That's the essential.
That's the glove bag.
Hands are warm, you can make it.
Yeah.
You can make it through. But it's
Hands are much more important than feet in terms of longevity of fishing days. The worst is you ever get that ice start to form on the cork?
oh yeah,
Oh, that's bad.
yeah.
That's when you know you're in for a cold one.
But and gear wise, that was part of. At this point, I don't wade that much in the cold, but it just staying warm it's just no fun anymore to be cold. So I'll be all about the thermal stuff from here on out.
I'm gonna be wearing this sweatshirt everywhere. I'm going fishing
To
tomorrow.
me, that's just like being naked. I want like much shit between me and the world.
Oh, this is a base layer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm gonna be piling on.
And I hate
top.
hoodies. That's one of the things I had a problem with Squala with. They always says, you wear this. I said, I don't wear those things, man.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
The sun hoodies.
Any hoodie.
Yeah.
And then this winter out when we're building the shop, I had forget which insulation it was, which one of the Squala hoodies, and I wore that thing. Holy shit! And I put the hoodie up right underneath my coat. Wow, what a difference that made.
Oh, it's amazing how much heat you lose through your neck and head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why scarves.
I mean, everybody knows that, but
Yeah.
I just didn't like the feel of it. But I wore it, and it comes up.
You
pretty
do
high.
notoriously hate hoods.
I do. I just don't.
If anybody in the shop, I mean,
You guys live in the son of bitches.
I love wearing hoodies. They're the best. I like
Good
putting
for you. Welcome to the hood.
I like putting the hood up for the. I don't know. It just makes me feel secure, like I'm in the womb still.
We don't need to dive quite that deep.
Sometimes I just say things to try to see what Kelly's reaction is going to be.
I just throw up a little bit in my mouth.
Yeah, it's all right. You and everyone else I talk to. All right, let's jump into some questions. We're really killing it today.
Killing it.
This one comes from, which one should we do? How about we do the one from Half Insane Outdoor Guy? He comments on our stuff
That's
a lot.
a great one.
Yeah, we've got a couple good names for the question answers today, or the question askers today. So, Half Insane Outdoor Guy says, real question for y'all. I've heard of a lot of fly innovators, especially with streamers such as Lefty, Russ, Cheech, Dave Whitlock, Charlie Craven, say the same thing as Kelly when catching fish. What else works? I've even heard Davey McPhail say it. I find myself doing the same thing. I catch a fish on all of Sculpzilla and think, what else can I make the fish eat? I ask myself that while tying all the time. Tying someone else's pattern only holds my attention for about 2 flies. Then my mind starts to wander and I'm adding or substituting materials. My question is, with all the variables on the river that change sometimes from 1 hour to the next, without literally living on the water, how do you know if something you've tied works because of the changes you've made or if it would work without them? Basically, how do I answer the question, the fish only ate that fly because I added X material and not because it's an olive-colored bugger-shaped object cruising downstream and the fish was hungry?
I read that. I don't read the name. I don't remember the name, but it's a great one. I am with you on the 2 fly thing, and you got to change it, right? The only way, I mean, repetition's the only thing that can answer that question. I do this exact same thing. I'll add something to one of my flies, take it off.
Yeah.
I'll add it, see if it's working, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's ripping it up. Go back to the other one. Problem most people has, if all of a sudden a fly starts kicking ass, it's really hard to take it off. Mm-hmm. But he says he does it. So go back to the original form, or just get your journal, like we talk about constantly. Whatever it is, get your phone out, do something, and just database that fact that this fly, I can tell you that one fly for sure, when the copper tail went into the natural dungeon, it changed its life. And I switched back and forth. Russ,
the copper flash.
Yeah. Yep. Russ was, by the way, I have to take that red and chartreuse. Somebody saw that thing in the background and says, hey, is that for sale? I'm like, yeah, it is. I just happened to look up at it. But yeah, squirrel. That's the only way I know. Or if you're lucky enough to have somebody that is with you, if you can, 2 of your fish the same. I mean, you got 2 clients. That's how I did it so much in the early days, is when I was guiding, I would have, they were always my guinea pigs, right? Yeah. And I would say, and in particular, I had maybe, 2 dozen guys that were so good, been doing it so long. They were fine with being guinea pigs, right?
Yeah.
And then we did it to, I think it was Herm and JC, where they both had the same, well, they both had a dungeon, I think, or not, something like that. And then swatched, they kept the fly, but the other angler's doing it, right? To see if it was the angler.
Right.
So trying to eliminate your variables, really hard to do if you're a guide. I mean, unless you've been, like, at that point, I'd been guiding those guys 20 years, right? And so unless you've got this really great relationship, it's hard. So I just switch. That's exactly, I'll put it on. When I say I switch, I usually switch because I'm not so much doing what you're doing now. I'm looking for something just totally opposite. Like what they're eating natural. Will they eat chartreuse? Right? Will they? Everything's wrong. It's a cloudy day. It's perfect. It's rainy. It's perfect for a natural. Shit for the chartreuse. And see, and then drop a few more colors in there. But you really have to be willing to not catch fish.
Yeah.
Which that's not easy to do.
I think this is kind of a tough shit answer, but it's just really hard to do unless you're living on the river and fishing constantly.
Oh, yeah, he had that in there, unless you are living in the river.
Yeah, he says, how do you do it when you're not like that? It's like, and if you're not on the water, it's not the answer you want to hear, but if you're not on the water.
I would take 1 hour.
Yeah.
I would take an hour, and I would just do it.
Yeah.
Because I did a lot of that myself, and that's what I would do. In particular, when you get a hot bite going, see if you can break it, right? It's real easy. If you got a really hot bite on, sometimes it won't matter what you change to, right?
Yeah,
they'll just keep eating
They'll eat everything.
But you'll
That's
know,
what we call the suicide bite.
Yeah,
right?
When you've got that going on, but you'll see, you don't always see your positive, but you'll see what I would judge frequently is I get drive-bys.
Yeah.
Whoa, he was cool with it for a minute, but he didn't finish the job. So that's all I wouldn't, if you're into it, into the pain, you could spend a whole day, but so many other variables change during your day that it isn't necessarily always the best litmus test to say, if you go 3, because a bite seldom goes 2 hours, seldom. Right. If it does, it's one of those days, everything's probably going to work anyway. But that's why I say if you take an hour during a bite window, right? During the bite window, that's when I always say, if nothing's working, I'm on that change train constantly, just going and going until I find it. Once I find it, and then if you're willing to do that, that's when you start changing to see what they won't eat. If it's a super bite, they're going to eat a lot of shit. It's better to have that bite that's just okay, and then see if what you can change. I've been fly fishing for a long time, long enough to see all kinds of trends and fads and new companies come and go. It takes a lot to impress me nowadays. So when Squala came along a few years ago, making waders and jackets and other stuff, I didn't really think much of it. But eventually I tried a pair of their RS waders, and I was blown away, generally surprised at how much better they were than any other waders I've ever worn. Extremely comfortable, durable, well thought out, just everything you could want in a pair of waders. Since then, I've used a bunch of their other gear, and honestly, it's all great. They're a local company, Montana company, run by a bunch of serious fish heads who know what they're doing. So when you're looking for great, really good fly fishing gear that is made by somebody that fishes and their apparel that works as advertised, I'd highly recommend checking out Squala. We carry a full line at the shop. You can also find them online at squalafishing.com.
And the only way to get into one of those bites is like, if you fished, dawn to dusk, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
How many of those bites do you think you'd run into in a year?
You might get one a week if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're going dawn to dusk.
Right.
Most people are going to go 6 hours.
Most people are going to go 6 hours.
If they're lucky,
and they're going to go.
Working people get 2 hours after work. You got to get there.
Yeah, or only one weekend day, right?
Yeah.
They spend Sunday with the family. They get 1 day a week, and that could be.
And that's really hard because what you really want to do is find the bite and ride that pony, right? And so, but he sounds like he fishes a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we talk about this, right? We're like, Johnny hadn't Johnny never caught a fish on the Slick Willie before?
Oh, like 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was before
Maybe
this
more.
fall.
Yeah, maybe more.
And this happens, so it's kind of the opposite, right? You get into that bite, and then you start changing flies to see what else works. Mm-hmm. And maybe this isn't an exact inverse of that, but I get caught in this trap of, I've got these regular flies I love to fish, whether it's single hand or swinging, and if they're not working, well, it might just be a really shitty day. And that's when I start fishing other patterns and go, wow, I've fished that a ton and I've never caught a fish on it. Well, it's not because it's bad fly. It's because I only fish it on days where they're not eating it.
Yeah.
Right? And then, that's why it's important to change to stuff that you think doesn't work when they're eating. Because I get caught into that.
If you want to.
And that's why I was getting at Johnny, is Johnny was saying he thinks that's what happened to him, right? Is he'd only go to the Slick Willie on tough days where he couldn't buy him on other stuff.
Because you go to what you know is going to work. He's a guide.
Right.
He has to put bends and sticks. And if that isn't happening, you don't really, that's why I say I was really lucky because I had so many, and I got to fish with Johnny and, everybody else back then who were willing to take a whooping,
right.
To experiment. But, if I got 1 day a week to fish, I wouldn't be doing what I'd be looking for the bite.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be putting that bend in the rod and just saying, it's my day. I'm not here to be, doctors figure it all out. And so, but that's the only way. And I wouldn't do it all day. Because I don't think you need to have a parameter that keeps you in that zone, because the bites just change so much. I mean, I just watched another bass show last weekend where basic guys were just sitting around.
Yeah,
they're casting. So I've never seen anybody say this. They're waiting on and it was a shad thing. They're waiting on, and they're just like, you could see these guys are kind of like, whatever. They're killing time. They know nothing's going to be like, it's just not going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to go batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And so give yourself an hour, do your changes, make radical changes in the beginning to figure it out. But once you get on that bite and you want to, that's just how I do it. I make big changes, white, black, olive, tan. They're major contrasts from each other. Mm-hmm. But once you get on it and you want to figure it out, take that and just once you're on that good bite and they're on that olive, do something that's radical. And then see, different. But then come back closer. Keep coming closer to what works. And remember that I don't know, I bet I haven't had 100 days in my life where it was a 8-hour bite window where it just went crazy.
Right.
And that's, fishing a lot. And that's just, it's a real rare thing to get an all-day bite. So pick that hour when they are biting and then figure it out. If it's, Nathan just sent me a zoo cougar that he put some sort of it's a zoo cougar, but it's got a really loose, flowing underbelly, body, like a brush body. Mm-hmm. And he just said, you should do the year of the zoo cougar. He says, well, it's not a freaking zoo cougar, but it's really cool looking. Right. It is what it is. So, I don't know. That's what I do, or did.
Yeah. What it made me think of is when I was up on the mow.
Wait 1 second. Also, change the retrieve of your flies too. See if that's what. If this thing's going. Before you go into this color change thing and all that stuff, if you're fishing a fly and you're experimenting a lot, which I don't think you are. I mean, it sounds to me like he's trying to get into another level. But if you want to see about flies that are really getting on it, if it's a super bite, slow your retrieves or speed them up. Yeah. If that changes things, that's another indicator. What's going on. Yep. So if you're ripping it and you slow it down, they won't eat it. It'll tell you something. It's a total reactionary thing. And then you can go to the colors or the body shapes or whatever you're doing. And so,
it made me think of a day I was up on the mow with my brother and dad, and I was rowing them, and I had them fishing streamers, in the morning. We got out there pretty early, and the streamer bite wasn't on. We're rolling through bugs, and and they're both newer to your style of streamer fishing. Throwing it out there, fishing it well, and it just wasn't happening. And my dad kept, he's like, "What about putting on a nymph?" I'm like, "Well, I'm looking around, and there's a bunch of other guide boats around us. They're all throwing double nymphs under bobbers, and not a single one of them is hooked up." I'm like, "Dad, those guys are all way better than me, and if they're not getting them on nymphs, we're not going to get them on nymphs either. Let's wait until they start cranking them.
Yeah.
Then we can go do that, because it's not. I don't have some secret sauce. I'm not better than a fishing guide."
But going to the nymph game is the absolute polar opposite of figuring it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's going for the bite.
It just made me think of the bite, and then we ended up getting a couple nice browns on streamers, and then it just died, and it was tough. But yeah. All right, let's
like
jump in.
we've said before, I've fished a lot of gear.
Right.
And I've had, it's the same.
Can't make them eat.
You can't make them eat.
All right, this next question comes from, this is a good one, ready? Loose Lines Tight Waders. He asked a question on YouTube, says, Braeden, I also began by flipping off cyber trucks and their drivers, just like you mentioned. I, too, eventually evolved into the thumbs down and sometimes a head shake. And now I have seen one of those dumpster fire death traps up in a nearby canyon fishing the Sweetheart holes. You just know this guy just loves to blow out the hole in front of you in 10K worth of gear. And you know what? That's fine, right? To each their own. Totally fine. There's a lot of O's in that totally. Said, I've got an ethics question for you both. The recent temps have my local creek a little too frozen. But there was one stretch that I could have walked through and theoretically broken it up enough to allow for a narrow drift. I can see how it would put off any fish in there for longer than it would take for it all to freeze up again. I really wanted to test some new patterns, so I was almost desperate enough to do my best icebreaker impression, but I didn't. Maybe it's just something someone who owns a cyber truck would do, and it would be unbecoming of the rest of us. Maybe consider this pile of garbage for the podcast, even if it is a little below your super high standards. Cheers. I'm not sure he listens.
Well, I can tell him that Jerry and I used to do that on the Huckle Hole on the Jordan in December constantly.
Yeah.
We would go in, and that hole wasn't 20 feet across, and we'd bust the ice out of it. We'd either
wait 10 minutes,
or just till the big chunks would get out of it. It was always money. They didn't give a shit what you did. They're not leaving. They're not going far. So they're set up in the winter.
Would you do that now? Because ethics change.
I don't think it's an ethics. Well, I guess it is. I mean, they're under their, you dig holes through the ice to fish, or I do.
There's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of lakes around here that have a lot of tents on them.
Yeah, I love ice fishing, but I don't know if that's an ethical thing. It's kind of like, I'm not going to be the cops on this one. Like, I don't like cutting branches out of the way that are screwing up with my cast.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I let the beavers do it, but I won't do it.
It's
and
like
so
when
I won't pull a stump out that's wrecking my drift.
There was some famous hole at Augusta. I think it was 17. Maybe it was 18. There was like the Eisenhower tree or something, and some old famous golfer wrote a letter to the club saying you need to remove this tree for all these reasons, and the club basically gave him the middle finger and said,
"Good.
This is what like makes the hole great. This hole is easy without this tree."
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think it's 18. I don't remember what it is. I think a windstorm took that tree down eventually, but it.
Tragic. I just don't. But ice is
a
different thing.
Yeah.
If there's ice on the river,
right?
If it's got to be pretty slow section, right? The whole freaking river's going to be icy.
Right.
Well, do you want to do every run? No, but I loved. We would go into a hole, and I did it. It's the only one I can remember doing it to. But I would have no problem chunking. If it's my only option, got to tell you, you can take a swim in a hurry trying it though.
This episode is brought to you by Hardy. Founded in 1872 in Alnwick, England, Hardy is one of the most respected names in fly fishing. They spent over a century doing things properly. Hardy rods and reels are built with a deep respect for craft and tradition. There's a quiet confidence to their gear, clean lines, purposeful designs, and performance that doesn't need explaining. This is equipment made by people who understand that fly fishing is as much about feel and restraint as it is about power. When you fish Hardy, you're fishing a lineage that stretches back generations, refined over time, shaped by rivers, and trusted by anglers who care deeply about quality. If you're drawn to gear with real heritage, thoughtful craftsmanship, and unmistakable British roots, take a look at Hardy. Some things are worth doing the right way.
And I mentioned this when we were talking about how long a fish holds food sources and stuff in its stomach. Mm-hmm. It was that hole on the Jordan River that I caught, and it was that day that I don't know if Jerry's with me or not, I think he was. We chunked the ice out of it. All you had to do is there's a big, it was really thin shelf ice, right? Mm-hmm. But it went all the way across the hole. And I caught a 2-foot brown trout, December 23rd. I've said it before about when I did 2 podcasts ago about how I used to go and get a small steelhead for Christmas dinner or Christmas Eve dinner. And so that's the hole. And I got a 24-inch brown trout, which I killed because I was nymphing, and I just got a gill on it, right? And it took the fly too deep and fought too hard, and I killed it. And so I took it home. I didn't take the steelhead. And it had a 7-inch leopard frog in it that looked like it had been, unlike this year, it had been so cold, and so every time we went, the rivers froze, right? This one little pool. The rest of the river didn't freeze as much. And so it had been at least 3 months, maybe 4, before a frog could have been moving. And that thing looked like he got it that day.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Nothing wrong with the frog. Great observation. Good reason to kill a fish every once in a while. Yeah. Just kidding. Don't write me. I haven't killed. I am working on taxidermy, which I've said a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And every time it amazes me. I have never mounted one of my own fish.
That's crazy.
I was going to mount yours this weekend, though. You wanted to film it, though.
Yeah, we should film that.
But yeah, I don't do it. But I don't know where that came from. No, I don't have any problem with it ethically. I mean, shit, who's out there to see it? Nobody else got dumb enough to be out there.
Yeah, nobody's got stuff. Yeah.
I'm out there, and the old guy was right above Webster's Bridge, and the old guy Huckle, he had Huckle's camera shop. You sure you boys want to fish? Come on in. We're in his front yard, dude. We're like 25 feet from his house, right? Mind if I chunk this ice? No, go ahead. And I jumped off and
went for a swim.
No, I didn't swim, but because I jumped. I had a log jam, right, that was slowing the water down, mm-hmm. and I jumped onto it, and not thinking I was going to go quite as quick. And I landed in a bunch of logs, but it could have got freaking ugly.
Yeah, I during ice off, I went up and I fished one of these lakes, and this little corner pocket was open in the evening. I caught a couple of nice fish, and then I was watching the temperatures, and they were only supposed to get down to like 35. So I thought it was going to be open, so I went up there pretty early in the morning. It was really cold, so not mm-hmm. colder than 34, and the ice had refrozen. There's like a centimeter of ice on this hole that was open, so I spent about 3 hours throwing rocks trying to open it up. And didn't get above freezing again for like another week, so the whole thing froze over again. I did successfully open it up, and a fish rose. It ate something off top in that little slick that I'd opened, and I never caught one.
I've done the lakes. I've done it. I used to fish Mouth Acne Creek, and if the ice got so shitty, we used to go out and ice fish it. It was so cool because we were only fishing this much water.
Right.
That's right. Cool. And if it was the right year, I wore waders because I fell through so many times, and I fell through. I didn't really give a shit, right? Yeah. I'm a little kid.
Yeah.
I'm 14, 15, but we went through. But I broke the ice out of that so I could run bobbers in it when I was fishing bait, and break it out in the morning and just wait and go back. And I have no problem with it. I don't think that's a real common thing. So
No, I mean, I could see why somebody might get upset about it.
ice. That's
yeah.
not a problem. I do not like when people wreck anything else. Anything obstructions. I hate when people. I can't get a drift through there, so they go pull the thing out. You don't know if you just ruined the drift, the rim. I mean, that one root could be what's making the entire hydraulic thing there. Mm-hmm. So you just gotta. The fish does need to have a win. Otherwise the son bitches be raceways, right?
Yeah.
I don't like cutting trees. I don't know how many people asked me to cut that tree over here. Now the freaking beavers did it. Yeah. Now they're taking all the willows out there, giant ones.
I know.
And
I'm bummed that tree's leaving. It's a whole so much more. It's so much easier to fish now.
Yeah, I know. So
if you don't know how to lace a cast underneath it, now you can catch fish, and that's a bummer.
Don't wreck it for just so you can't, because you can't cast, or if you can't cast, probably nobody can. So that's good. It's a good fish hide.
Yeah.
If somebody beats and wins and gets underneath there, that's great. But I don't dig that. But ice is a whole different thing.
Have I explained the competition we used to do back there? My first year, we have a scoreboard in the back from when we used to keep track. But we'd go back there. We'd have one nymph rod. This is the boat ramp at the slide-in, which is also referred to as the kiddie pool, because you can't get one there, you're hosed.
Yes.
We used to go back there with...
And it could be that tree that is everything about it. We'll know this year because that beaver's pretty much laced it.
I was back there the other day. I didn't see a ton of fish up. Now, I'm sure there's still a bunch of fish there, but...
I don't know. Nothing lasts forever.
So we used to go back there. This was like me, Matt, Nathan, Andrew, and Hunter. And we'd have the 5 of us go back there with one nymph rod. We'd have one guy would rig it, and everybody had to use the same rig. And you get 5 casts. And... or until you get a fish. You get 5 chances, right? And a brown trout is 2 points, a rainbow's 1, and a white fish is 3. And if you, and so I learned real quick how to do what these guys call the Michigan set, which is where you
flossing,
pop your nymphs, or you pop your, flossing. You pop your nymphs, you pop your indicator so it would set if it's a fish, but it doesn't launch your flies out into whatever's behind you, because there's so many trees in Michigan, and there's trees behind the boat ramp, which are gone too now.
Yes.
So you used to, if you did a full hook set, you're up in the trees, and your turn's done. You're out of the game unless you're able to recover the flies. But if you break it off, you're allowed to try to go find other flies, like in the rocks, in the trees.
There's plenty in those trees.
Tons in the trees. So that was the best part, is you break a rig off on something on the bottom, on a stick or whatever, and all of a sudden, Andrew's climbing a tree trying to find a squirmy worm and a turd or whatever it is. So it was very, very funny. And we got one clip of, I got the video somewhere, of Andrew climbing the tree that's over the river, and he fell in.
Really?
Yeah, trying to get the flies out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. That was great. So funny.
No beer involved with this.
No, never, not at all. But super fun. I think we stopped keeping score after a while. But and you want to feel pressure fishing?
Yeah. Your 4 buddies watching everything you do.
Peanut gallery behind you, and whenever that bobber just turns a quarter turn every set, missed it. So fun. All right, I think we...
Don't wreck the environment.
No.
Ice will come back.
Yes. I think, I got no problem with that.
I did float an ice chunk once with a bobber on it out to I was in Acme Creek. I just remembered that. I broke some ice. It was just shore ice. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to, I can't remember what it would always go to this one chance. I took it out there like my dad used to talk about shingling mice on a...
Yeah.
Put a mouse on a shingle and let it float down there, and then pull him off of it. I did that with a spawn bag and a wiggler, because it was hard to cast a wiggler. You can cast a spawn bag a million miles, but I'd take wiggler's just a hex nymph, but live, right? Yeah. Hook it through there with like a 16, 18 hook, and I floated the bobber of the wiggler out to the thing and pulled it off the edge. Nice. And it almost didn't work because it kind of stuck to the ice for a second.
Yeah.
But it came up, because I'm only using 4-pound, right? But I did do that. Shingle the wiggler. Didn't catch anything, but It's a great attempt.
It's another shot at ingenuity.
Yes.
You could have changed the world. You didn't even know it.
Shingling. Wiggler shingling.
That's a funny term.
Yeah, well.
All right.
$1 million.
Let's do another question. This one comes from John the Gun 5753 on YouTube. Says, "Hi guys, I've got an obsession right now. I'm tying pike streamers with Nyet. I think that's how you say that, aka snow runner. But I've been trying to figure out for a while what the animal that produces this hair actually looks like, and I just can't find it. When I ask the shops I buy it from, they all give me the more or less same vague answer. The hair comes from a specific rare breed of domesticated farm animal, most often described as a special long-haired goat, or sometimes a crossbred sheep-like breed. It is primarily bred in Canada, the Skeena River area, and is sometimes referred to as an Iceland-like way, but it is not a wild animal. The breed has been deliberately developed for this extremely long hair, often 12 to 20 centimeters, which is perfect for fly tying. Then I read somewhere that it's a byproduct and elsewhere that it's specifically produced for fly tying. If it's a byproduct, I understand why it comes on the skin hide. But if it's specifically produced, why don't they just shave the hair off the goat or sheep that produces it? Any ideas or more details? Martin."
Nope.
I got nothing on this
I
one.
don't know what this one is.
Nyet.
We've got a lot of, I don't know how long the hair is, did you say?
12 to 20 centimeters.
I mean, it's been going on forever, we called chow dog hair all kinds of stuff, trying to get, PETA didn't want it imported.
Yeah.
And it's
From
a giant,
Chow Chows?
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge food source in China. And so it was thin coon and, there's everything you can.
Thin coon is
it's all
chow
chow dog.
That's so
and
funny.
like, we did all these things to fake out the PETA people or whatever, so they wouldn't, newsflash, they eat dogs. So, but that was, I don't know what this one is. I do recall there's something about this cow. I'm going to feel really stupid when I go look this up, but I think it's like one of those funky-looking, long-haired.
Like Shetland.
No, it looks like a cow. It's like the one I'm thinking of. There's Icelandic sheep, too, which I don't know if that's. I don't know. This is a new one to me. Muskie fools, call those guys.
Yeah, they should know.
They should know that. I mean, I don't. There's a lot of new, really long. Hair stuff and synthetics that I'm not privy to in the muskie world nowadays. So Johnny might know, but I do. I'm out.
I'm doing
radio silence.
I'm doing some research and I can't find anything. But I also,
if I had to guess, it's something that just like that. It's probably something that we're importing that PETA doesn't. But didn't he say he's in Canada?
So we get it from Canada.
Oh,
well, so it's probably something.
I forget. I'm guessing it's something
Icelandic
that PETA's
sheep
pissed off about. They don't want you to use. It's kind of like calling calf tail kip tail. What the hell's a kip? Why isn't it just calf tail? Now it is, but
Did it used to? I didn't never knew.
It was always kip tail. And I'm sure it was something to do with PETA that they didn't want us to cut calves' tails off for some reason.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Die. Sorry. Well, we don't have a good answer for you.
Swing and a miss.
We apologize. All right. Let's
Even
see.
you couldn't find it on your little speed demon there on the computer?
No, I couldn't. I didn't do well.
Losing it.
All right. Let's do another question. This one comes from Fish Coda. Says, great episode. I love the talk on tying and concepts to improve skill sets versus tying individual flies, so to say. Thread tension is like the first commandment of tying, in my opinion, and I preach it all the time. I always harken back to when I was younger and dumber and thinner and tried to learn guitar by asking my instructor to teach me how to play a song. He was like, look, dummy, you need to learn how to play a chord and some other stuff before you can put it together for a song. The fact and knowing if you're a sticker is really beneficial for anyone starting out, By the way, I can't play shit and will trade old guitar stuff for tying materials if anyone's interested. I'm not a great tyer by any stretch, but by learning tying fundamentals, I'll tie my flies and let someone else play the tunes. But the groupie ratio sucks. Oh well.
Really? Never sucked for me. Just kidding.
Just kidding, baby.
Baby. What was it when you said the thing about...
Doghouse.
No, I mean, what one you were talking about, Mel and I were watching it, and for some reason she likes to watch them. I can't stand to watch them, but it's not good to look at yourself.
No.
But said something about imagining some other woman. It was like the freaking...
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. I remember it was in the Bucky episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said something about, not think you're...
Oh, it was like... It's
thinking about
when
another
I'm
woman.
skiing and I'm thinking about fishing.
Yeah, but you were saying it's like thinking about another woman.
Yeah.
And its head goes... Yeah.
That also reminds me real quick, there's a great... I don't know where it's from. It might have been from... what's the movie?
Good podcasting.
Yeah. What's the famous fly fishing movie with Brad Pitt? I can't think of the name.
Oh, River Runs Through It.
River Runs Through It. It might be from that, but it might have been from something else. But some guy was talking about how he was starting to become very religious about the same time he was getting really into fishing. And he decided he'd rather be on the river and think about God than be sitting in church thinking about fishing.
Yeah, I don't think that's in the river.
I don't think it's from that. I don't know where it's from. But I really liked that line.
What was the question though we were starting with there? Thread tension. I wrote down completely. Agree
first
with
commandment
that.
of
yes,
of
that's
fly
true.
tying.
But what was the gist of it?
It was more of a comment than a question. But what are your thoughts on? So, do you agree that thread tension is the first commandment?
Absolutely.
What's the second?
You want to see the difference between Charlie and Davy and it's thread tension.
Between them and
the
someone
world.
like myself.
The world. It is the difference in, Mike Mercer was one of the greatest. He could start his thread and go like this, and it looked like, and it would be, regardless of how he wanted it, they were perfect, and you couldn't see his bobbin move, and he'd be all the way to the end. And it's like, whew.
What are telltale signs?
But everything was perfect. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Speed does not mean perfect tension. Right. I've done videos about when you hold your bobbin, just to practice, hold it an inch from your hook and just go around and see. And you should be holding your bobbin, however you hold it. There's no right way to do anything. Mm-hmm. It just you should be able to just sit here and never ever change the tension or the distance on your bobbin. And so that means that you've got hand control, thread. You should never go down to your hook and pick your hook up. If you go, or your bobbin, you should never go down to the bobbin, should never go down to the hook. And then you're kind of all of a sudden you got a 1/4 inch off the end of the bobbin, and then you pick line up and do it again. That's not control. And you're not having equal tension on every one of those. So but it is Wayne Llewellyn, great tyer, great instructor. Wayne writes in every once in a while and tells me that I need different scissors. I love this guy. But Wayne he was the king of thread tension. That's all he ever preached. He taught for decades and decades. But yeah, absolutely. It's like anything. Everything is the same, in everything you do. It is when you swing a hammer, you don't swing it 10 different ways. Whatever it is you do in thread tension, it just means you're not guessing and you don't. If your thread tension's poor, you'll set a material and it'll be a little off to one side or the other side of the hook because there was no intent, right? When you set a material, you put your hand up here and your thread tension doesn't mean it's tight, by the way. That thread tension isn't always tight. You might relax a loop to put it on and then come around, but you would never do more than 1 or 2 of those relaxed loops and then tighten it down on purpose because you're setting your materials, holding your thread, or your materials, and you're watching your thread cinch down to a specific spot.
So
but if you watch people...
Tension's not static. It's variable, and then if it's static, you're doing something wrong, right?
Well, you'll push your materials, right? If not every material will sit on the hook the same. So you'll watch when somebody does it, But when they finish a light loop to set something, it's so that the material stays exactly where you're setting it, pinching it. Charlie's a master at that.
Yeah.
And Davey, unbelievable. Like Davey in particular, because he works with so many naturals, it's almost freaky that he can, and it's time spent is all it is. But the thread control is everything. It's never pinching suddenly and rolling something over before. It's just the tension is on purpose.
So what are the ways to, like, it seems easier to diagnose when it's going wrong than when it's going right. Like if it's going wrong, your materials are moving, right? Are there any other ways to diagnose like poor thread tension or something that, somebody needs to work on? I guess what are the positives? When thread tension is proper, I'm sure there's no such thing as perfect, right? There's some guys that are close to it.
I'd say there's.
It's Craven.
I just mentioned a couple of them. They're pretty close to freaking
All right,
perfect.
so theoretically perfect.
There's plenty, and let me remind you, there are thousands of so good attires that don't give a shit about getting the recognition.
Oh, they hide in there.
I mean, like Jay. Yeah. I mean, Jay's in here, and he'll talk to people. I've watched him 100 times talking to people in here, and like, yeah, whatever, and he just walks away. Like, you have no idea who that guy just was that was standing here. I mean, so many of these Atlantic salmon guys that they wouldn't listen to this or watch me or anybody else for that matter. They're in such a league. They're 100% thread tension.
Yeah.
100. I mean, you don't get to set 20 materials in one spot that have to be exactly a certain length, and there might be 10 different lengths of that set. And you've looked at you look at the marrying.
They're
they're all done.
Yeah.
One bad tension, one bad loop.
It all comes apart.
Well, at least turns a little bit. Yeah. Like that's why that flies over there with Andy's. It's everybody's like, holy shit, he threw it away. So yeah, I mean they're not looking for close. They're looking for absolute perfect, right? And those people, it's like the great guitar players or great anything. They're just, it's there, right? And you have to learn it. You don't get to just, nobody sits down and goes, oh yeah, I get it, perfect thread tension. Then let's go, and then picks their bobbin up. That's a beauty right there. You'll watch people pick their bobbin up. So they'll set a material, and they'll go in there, and maybe they're not hitching, maybe they're just setting the material, and you'll see them go like this and start over, and they'll loosen that thread up, and their material will move up, right? It's not just from here. It's like it starts here. It's always
from the moment your thread touches your
if it's your intent, but it's but the only way you can, I don't remember what it has to be. 15 years ago, I did a thing on this about just practicing doing, it's a YouTube video, but just practicing and then being able to set one and then like put your knot in, put your hitch in, right? And watch the whole thing untie, because can't quite get this whole tension down to set your material and then loosen it up. Tension, I mean, wax helps that a lot to like kind of stop that little bit of movement, that migration, but nothing. Like with nylon threads, we don't use as much as we used to, and they stretch just a little, and ideally you'd have that perfect stretch, not enough to really stretch the thread, but just to cinch it.
Yeah.
And you watching Dave Ellis tie a fly, like the bobbin just never changes. It's freaky. Right. It's just like, or Charlie, and then you get to a certain point, like a great guitar player or whatever, they can do whatever they want. I mean, there's no guessing. It's the cementing of the material that not literally, not head cementing, the fixing
the
of
anchoring,
the anchoring the material. That's why I always tell people there's only 3 reps ever. There's never more than 3 reps. There's a pinch, a set, and an anchor, and it's like one's this way, one's what you're doing, and it's sitting there, and there's no build. Right. It's just, and what you'll see with people with poor thread control is they'll always get to that point and go, they're the couple more guy or girl. Like they'll get there and they'll go, it'll be finished. Is that, even when you're telling them, okay, All right, one more right there. You're good. Okay, and they go, shoot, and it's like an auto 3 more.
That's what I did until you yelled at me one day sitting in here.
What's the point of it? Yeah, but it's.
I think that's exactly. You said why'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, then don't do it.
They get to that spot and they throw 3 more, and there's never a deliberate act to it. It's not like it's just 3 more or 2 more, and they're loose. And now you got nothing working for you. You will never see Davey, Charlie, or any of those guys. I mean, anybody out there, they'll never throw that. There's never an excess in there.
No. Well, and that's where I really started to enjoy tying these, steelhead style kind of classic flies. Was on a dungeon you can get away with extra thread wraps. There's so many materials covering so much stuff that you can hide.
But you will find that they're loose.
Yes, you can hide shitty, wraps, and
you can hide it from yourself. But if
you can hide it,
if Charlie picks your fly up, he's going to say, "Why'd you put that 3 extra wraps somewhere in there?"
Totally. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Or if Richie Strollis looks at your head worker, one of the, it's going to be
if
like
anybody who knows what they're doing looks at my stuff, they realize I'm bad.
I mean you. I mean just anybody. I'm not talking. It's just.
But I think there's so little margin for error on those thin body, low material.
Yeah.
And on some of that stuff, especially when you're doing really thin bodies, if you double up on your thread in one spot, you get a little bump.
Yeah. Humps and bumps, baby.
Yeah.
They no go.
No.
That's not part of the game.
No. Okay, so are we done with that?
Sure.
Okay, what's the second commitment of fly tying? Thread tension, thread controls, number 1. Oh. Putting you on the spot.
Pinch wraps.
Okay.
That's a tough one. People, now, the number 2 for me, is the failure to clean your materials properly. I don't care how good you are. If you got a gob of shit, like hair's obvious, but not properly prepping your material to go on it. You don't.
What's the material you think people mess up the most?
In your world, bronze sets, but
no, just in terms of not cleaning their materials.
Dubbing. Oh, yeah. not cleaning them.
Yeah, or just not
prepping them.
Not prepping them.
Yeah. Dubbing for sure. Too much, too loose, without purpose. Right. That's why I'm a dubbing loop freak.
Yeah.
Because, in particular, I love to see and really nondescript things like a hare's ear body, or in my wet flies that I want them to be a little bit loose in some place, and you can go in and you can, hit them with a bore cleaner and just loosen it up. I like the fact that I can make that happen without, right? My steelhead flies just want to, in particular when I work with steel, just that hint of fray to everything.
Yeah. A little bit of bugginess.
Yeah, it's just that hint. And so everything's about prepping that material, right? Or how you hold it, or how you get it on there. But prepping is huge, and dubbing, it's all. You'll watch people overdub almost always, right? And you'll see them, and I've done videos on it where you're getting, I call it dog legging. So they'll put their material on their thread, and then they'll go start wrapping it. All of a sudden the material will go off the side of your thread, and I call it a dog leg, off the side, and they'll keep wrapping, and then they'll put more and more and more thread on there, and it's like, what are you not? There's a really clean lady beaver kill, or I think that's the fly I'm thinking of. There are people that dub I can't remember the name of the fly right now. I don't know if it's a late. But anyway, it's one of the beaver kill series, and I've seen people that can dub those that you barely can tell it's not thread, and it's so perfect. And the next one you see, no, that's not what I'm looking at. Where you got it? Yeah, see how thin that body is?
Yeah.
Because you got your egg sac, and you see them, and it's like you should see a distinction between the egg sac and the abdomen, and it's just like. Ugh. It's just all the same.
Right.
And so, and then the last one would be pinch wraps, or just set wraps, whatever. The holding your fingers on the fly without distorting and wrecking everything. But if your body's loose, it's going to be wrecked as soon as you try to do it anyway. So, but thread tension, prepping your material, and then the pinch wrap, not the pinch wrap, the set, holding the material. And that's all there is to it, really. When you get down to it, there's nothing left but that.
I became minorly addicted to dubbing wraps dubbing loops this fall. Something about guessing the right amount of materials where you have the perfect number of wraps and the right taper. It feels so good.
I've watched guys do a steelhead set with 3 colors of seal.
Yeah.
I think it was Bob that I watched do that, Braeden. It was in California someplace, and it's not a complicated fly, but he put it on all in once without changing.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way this cat's gonna do it. 4, 4, 4. Oof. 4 turns, 4 turns, 4 turns, and he got to the front. I'm like, oh, dude, you had to get lucky on that one. No way, it wasn't lucky. It might not have been.
Mine was lucky. I'll say that.
He's got 4 different colors though.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And usually, you'd go through and you'd start. No, and he had 5 flies on the table. It was. I don't remember. I think we're in San Diego, but I don't remember. Big tying show there in Sacramento, San Diego, one of those. But that one to me was like, oh boy, not guessing on this one. I've been addicted to loops since I was probably 15 or 16 when Barney Ewing he gave me some flies and he showed me how to do it. His dad did. And I went, wow, that is so cool, because I'd never seen one, right? But the fuzziness, when you look at a fly, that's what part of my problem with the Euro trash is it just no soul, no pleasure, right?
Right.
And so, until they do put a little that, CDC in the front and halo something and make it, that looks cool too. But there's so many guys that I could sit here and talk about. I just start thinking around me, around here, just such great tires. And everybody has a little different style, but nobody has a different thread tension.
Right. They're
just perfect. It might be theirs, might be looser than yours, tighter than yours.
Yeah.
But it's theirs, right? It's fundamentals. Mm-hmm. Can you throw a left jab, right? I mean, it's a fundamental. Can you do certain things every time and it's right, and the rest of it just falls into place? Mm-hmm. That's all I got for you.
Groovy. Well, let's wrap this one up.
You're going to fall asleep on me, dude.
I might.
I'm sitting here watching the camera. You're like,
Well, I'm checking. I know we're low battery on that camera, so I'm just checking to see if it's still alive. I was awaiting the wrath of God when the camera dies.
From that one guy. I have to get to my thing because I think I wrote a Band of the Week thing down for me. They couldn't remember them. Oh, look at this. Cameras and mics. That was last night when I read that guy's comment about you.
My Band of the Week. I'll just go with the Kitchen Dwellers. I'm going to see them tomorrow night in Bozeman. This show will come out weeks from now. So hopefully it was great. You got anything else?
Carole King.
Carole King, nice.
I liked her.
Did we ever do Sinatra?
I did.
You did? Okay, cool.
Massive Frank guy.
I'm going to change mine from the Kitchen Dwellers to the Olympians. Check out the song, The Rain Song.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, neither did I until yesterday.
Just kind of had a little crush on Carole King most of my life back in the day.
Is he a cool guy or what?
Carole King? I'm going to punch you right
now. Come on, gotcha. That's the old Shane Gillis does that one a lot. Where he's like, oh, yeah, I've got a date. You go, what's his name? Come on. Huh? Come on.
Come on. Thanks for watching.
See you next week.